All right, so I had to jump back on. Anthony Mitchell here again with a bonus episode today. So, because I have been away for a moment on military TDY, I had to give you a part two to the prior episode that I just dropped. So, again, before I get started, got to get my formalities out the way, but that's welcome to the End Zone Club, where we have conversation that's designed to push you from walking in potential to actually fulfilling your purpose. And as always, we always try to have conversations which we know now about that we wish we knew when we were a little younger. We feel like maybe if someone had shared some of these topics with us, maybe we would be further in life. So by listening in, you are making a promise to yourself not to make the same mistakes that I made. So if you listened to last episode, you would know that I was on a military TDY, which I was excited about, to Northern Cal. Got a chance to see Sacramento, see San Francisco multiple times, went into Oakland, caught an athletics game playing my Yankees. Got a chance to see Santa Clara, also Napa Valley, which on the north side we saw Lake Berryessa. Beautiful land, God's country, man. Flew a drone out there. We got some beautiful footage, which I have posted on my YouTube page, the Vika Specialist or Southern Yankee 20. I don't remember which one, but search my name, Anthony Mitchell Jr., if you want to see that beautiful content from the trip. Also saw Yosemite National Park. There's a geyser out there, which is like a natural, one of the biggest natural geysers, I guess, in the United States. It resides at Yosemite. Took that trip hiked through the woods, donated plenty of blood and plasma to mosquitoes and gnats along the way. Also saw Lake Tahoe, which we also flew a drone at Lake Tahoe, Yosemite, Lake Berryessa, and some other things. So it was a fulfilling trip. Saw the USS Hornet down in Alameda as a group military activity. So with us being on TDY, traditionally mission comes first. Understand that. If you see the pictures on social media or on any of my other platforms that you're following me on, you'll come to the conclusion that we had a bunch of fun. Because of what we do when we are in military clothing and we're on the flight line and we're getting planes launched and recovered from coming back from flights, I do not post that for the security of what we do. Right? Of course, you don't want that kind of information to fall into the wrong hands. So let's get that out of the way. But the other parts of the trip we did show, so enjoy it. But it was kind of a surreal moment because years ago, I had this particular dream that I was headed south on Interstate 5 in California, and I was driving. There was a bunch of traffic. Traffic was bumper to bumper, but I did not recognize any of the scenery in the dream. And one day we were leaving Travis Air Force Base, and we were headed somewhere that took us down Interstate 5 to 880. And I think we were getting ready to head into Vallejo. I believe we were headed. And traffic was bumper to bumper. I was driving a vehicle. There were people in there with me, and in that moment I had this surreal deja vu experience where it's like, man, I've been here before. I've done this. I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience where it feels like you're experiencing like something right now in real time, but it feels like it's all too familiar. Well, that's what it was. And when that happened, I'm like, man, this is a surreal moment. Maybe there's something on this trip that's going to leave a lasting impression, because I always feel like anytime God allows you to see something before it happens, that there's something significant for you to see and not to miss. So we got into Vallejo, took a ferry down into San Francisco. Not on this particular trip, but on the next trip coming out of Alameda, yes, we did get a chance to also go to Alcatraz, which known as The Rock. Some of you guys may remember the 96 movie, I believe it was Nicolas Cage in that movie, and like, was it Clint Eastwood or Charlton Heston? I can't remember, but this maximum security prison that housed some of the world's greatest criminals. There was a movie around that called The Rock. I think it came out around 96. Really good movie, but I got a chance to go there, and some of the world's famous criminals like Bumpy Johnson and Al Capone, all of these guys had visited that place. But anyway, after coming out of Alcatraz, by way of Alameda, Alcatraz, we were parked at Pier 29 and a half. And if you haven't been to California, this is not going to make a lot of sense. But basically, in San Francisco, all of the different areas, like where we might call it blocks, where we live at, or this part of town or whatever, they know it as piers. So the piers are all along the waterfront. And just FYI, if you ever go to San Francisco, get familiar with the pier system. So we were parked at Pier 29 and a half, and the ferry that takes you from Alcatraz is right outside of Pier 29 and a half. So we try to get close to the ferry, and that way, whatever. But however, in San Francisco, there is something going on called break-ins. Like when we got into the city, we were briefed so many times by so many people about all of these bad things about San Francisco. And we were like, okay, we've been here multiple times now. Hadn't seen the feces all over this city that everybody says was there. Didn't see all the needles everybody says was there. There is a lot of conversation about the homeless. We did see some homeless, but it was kind of over exaggerated how bad the city really is. So when we get off the Alcatraz tour, we're still situational awareness. Anything we feel in the vehicle, we've got a couple of backpacks and military uniforms, because leaving Alameda, it was a military group trip, so all of us were dressed in uniforms. But we got out of our uniforms, folded everything up, stuck it in our military bags, put it under the back seat and folded the back seat back, and then we backed against the wall and the parking deck. Well, went to Alcatraz, came back, checked the vehicle, everything was good. We went over a few piers to Pier 33 or 39, I don't remember. We ate, was maybe there 30 to 45 minutes, came back, and as we're walking through the parking lot, on the side of my bag, I have a shaky cup. You know, the shaky cups that you, especially if you're mixing protein powders and various things, you'll put it in there, shake it up, whatever. Well, I noticed a cup that looks just like my shaky cup in the parking lot. So when I see it, my antennas automatically go up. But guys have had such a good time. We've seen a lot of good pictures, beautiful stuff, just ate good, getting ready to head back to Travis from San Francisco, which at this time of day is going to take you about an hour and a half due to traffic. And nobody else noticed it. So I asked one of the guys, hey, is that my shaky cup out there in the parking lot? And he, again, enjoying the moment, living in the moment, on the phone, just whatever. He looked, whatever, got in the vehicle, and I'm telling people, hey guys, I think we've been robbed. And this was without me seeing any indication. So I asked one of the guys behind me, hey, turn around and see if the window's broken out. Well, he didn't notice anything weird. So because, as I told you before, we had backed up to the wall, I pulled forward just a little bit. And when I walked around the van, our back window had been busted out, broken out, however you want to say it. So immediately I opened the trunk, and I noticed my bag is gone. My military uniform, parts of it is gone. My military hat is laying on the other side of the van. I keep Carmex, which is for my lips. Keep it in my bag as well. I noticed it was in the parking lot as well. And I didn't have anything of value in my bag. However, I did have my car keys, which also had my work keys in my bag. That's the only thing of value I carried with me. So I'm blown away, and I'm telling guys, hey, we've been robbed. And then finally, after saying it about three times, I think the lights came on that I wasn't playing, because sometimes I can be a jokester, but that this is a very real moment. And everybody sprung to action, and then other guys realized their stuff was missing too. So I run through the parking lot. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm having this Rambo moment. I'm far away from home. I'm not thinking. I'm just operating out of impulse. So I run through the parking lot, and gotta stay tuned for part 2.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Mark Vivas, the host of God Breathed, a free dramatized audio Bible in bite-sized podcast chapters. I would like to invite you on a journey with me into the greatest story ever told, from Genesis 1 all the way to Revelation 22. Check the link in this podcast description, and I'll meet you there. Want to read the Bible, but you're doing the dishes? God Breathed Podcast.
All right, so this is part 2 of what happened. So as I'm running through the parking lot, getting ready to have a Rambo moment, I'm looking around trying to find clues. And ironically, in this parking lot, multiple vehicles had been broken into. So I run to the front. There's like a security guard shack. I'm thinking, man, somebody's in here. They've been on top of their job because everybody has made such a big to-do about this crime that's going on in Sacramento, where they're telling you, be careful. People are breaking in vehicles like there's no rhyme or reason. It's a nice parking deck. We've paid $30 to park here, so I'm expecting somebody to be in there, but guess what? Nobody was in there. But there's a number on the window, so I call the number. Nobody responds. Then I run out the front door. I'm running around. I'm looking like Kevin Hart in a Kevin Hart movie. I'm exasperated. I'm just trying to see a sign of somebody running down the street with our stuff. I see nothing. So I'm praying because, I see a few homeless people in the vicinity, and I'm thinking, well, can I talk to them, see if anybody's seen anything? You guys have to think, I'm just thinking like, hey, I got to get my stuff back because my car keys are in there. Like my uniform, I've got other uniforms. I can replace those sorts of things. But my car keys that have my truck work keys, how am I going to get that back? So as I'm getting ready to do what I'm doing, it's just like in a still small voice, God gave me this comfort. Google the nearest police stations, right? It's worth a try. It's worth a try. So I Google police stations. I call the police station. I'm talking to them. Hey, sir, we're over here, Pier 29 and a half. Our vehicle's been broken into. What do we need to do? Multiple vehicles have been broken into. And he's, yeah. One of those, I don't want to say nonchalant, but he wasn't very engaged. So I said, hey, I forgot to give you my name. It's Staff Sergeant Anthony Mitchell. And when I said that, the lights came on. He said, sir, are you missing 3 bags? So I said, sir, one moment. I run back to the guys who were with us, and I asked them, how many bags are we missing? So I say, I know one, including myself, and they begin to count, and we're missing 3 bags. And he describes to a T the bags we were missing. Well, fast forwarding in the story, what happens is they had recovered what we had lost before we had called in. So he tells us, hey, get down here. You can file a report wherever you can park. Please park. So we rush, we get in the vehicle, we head over to where we're headed. We get to the San Francisco police station, and you got to stay tuned for part 3 because this is going to trip you out. Hey, if you've been enjoying our content, I encourage you to help keep us going by hitting the listener support tab and just giving some form of monetary support. Every little bit that you guys give, it helps to just continue this mission that we're doing by trying to push the youth from potential to purpose. So tune in to our podcast wherever these podcasts are found on any platform. And until next time. Oh, all right. So check it. We head to the police station. Now, I probably should have said this portion at the beginning, but I always wanted to go to Chinatown. You know what I'm saying? I guess after Rush Hour came out, I just always wanted to do Chinatown. Shout out for the shameless plug for Rush Hour. But didn't get a chance to go to Chinatown the whole time I was in San Francisco. So anyway, okay. Erase what I just said and let's finish with the story. So we head down to the police station. We get in, let them know who we are. They buzz us in. We go to the back, start filling out a report. And the cop begins to tell us what happens. Now, look, this is the crazy thing. There's a silver lining, even in bad stories. But apparently when the guys stole our stuff, I guess we gave them an invitation to steal, seeing that we went through such extremes to not have anything taken. Whoever was going through the parking lot knocking out windows saw us backed against the wall with the seats down and felt like, oh, they got something to hide from us. So they took it that, you know what, I think they want us to be robbed. So they robbed us. And when they went through our bags, I guess they took off running outside of the pier and threw our bags on the back of a truck, a pickup truck. However, it wasn't their pickup truck. It was an older guy's pickup truck. So when they threw the bag on the back of the truck, he's like, okay, what's going on? So just as a concerned citizen, he drives down to the police station, and the police are asking him for his information or whatever. He's very reluctant to give anything because I guess he didn't want to be identified. He just wanted to be a good citizen, but he didn't want anything to come back on him or whatever. But the irony that in a city that size, almost 2,000 miles away from home, yes, our window was broken out. Thankfully, it was a rental. The rental knew it was going to happen. They said it happened so much that they were already prepared for it. They wanted to make sure we were okay and that we hadn't lost anything. And once they found all that out, everything was smooth. Thankfully, we got all of our stuff back. The only thing we lost in that excursion was a can. Drum roll, please. A can of orange soda. That is it. So I'm sitting here and I'm exhaling, right? Because, you know, you got to exhale a little bit because you're in a city. You don't know if you're in the parking lot, you're running through looking for your stuff. If the people are still there in the parking lot watching you, maybe trailing you, following you out to hit you again. But the crazy part was while we were in front of the police station, we had to, you know, after we got everything curtailed and kind of got control of the situation, yes, we had to call our points of contact with the military, let them know what happened. They were concerned. They wanted to escort us back to the base. Wanted to make sure, hey, we can leave the vehicle here. You guys get with us that way. You got a broken window at 60, 50 something degrees. We don't want anybody cold, sick, getting back. We don't want any glass blowing. But our adrenaline is pumping. All we know is we want to get back, and we came as a group, so we want to go back with the same group of guys that we work with. That's how we're organized, by shops. So you know everybody that's in the van with you. You got an actual relationship. And we're of course, we're nervous, we're scared, you know, repercussions, you know, we didn't know if it was going to be viewed as that we had done something wrong, but man, our leadership understood, you know, again, it's an unfortunate circumstance, but it's not the first time something like this has happened. So man, after we went through that, you know, just giving God glory, because my work keys and my car keys were in that bag. And if I had lost both my work truck keys as well as the keys that I needed to drive back home once we got back from the trip, it was going to make for a long day. So that just reminded me just how gracious God is. You know what I'm saying? Just how gracious, because that situation, as bad as it was, a lot of people may say, well, why didn't he keep it from happening? Bad things are going to happen. You know what I'm saying? That's just a lot in life. Bad things do happen. But the reality is we still have hope in every situation, that sometimes things that probably look like it's going to take us out, sometimes just raise us up a little, bring us up a little, take us to another level, give us new understanding in life. And then through that, we now have other stories to share with others. But I promise you, since I have been back home, this has been a hectic week at home even. So I come back home on a Thursday or Friday. The very next day, Saturday, I return back to my civilian job. And here it is, I'm driving down the road like I'm Mr. Bean or somebody. I'm oblivious. I see, you know, everybody's outside at 6:30 in the morning. Everybody's got cell phones out. Even one lady had a shortwave radio, and I'm not thinking at first about what this could be. But at the moment, somebody had stolen an airplane from right up the street. And the airplane was flying over my house in a general circle in this area where there's a 911 call going on, and he is threatening to crash into the Walmart right by my house. Now, I'm Mr. Bean, you know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. I just know I got somewhere to go. I got some money to make, and I need to be back by a certain time. And oblivious to me, we're on the national news, so I got friends calling from everywhere, showing me videos, asking me, are we okay? What's going on? And then just also later on that day, there was a young lady in Memphis that was kidnapped. They found her body a few days later. She was a jogger by the University of Memphis, which you guys have probably heard this story. And then there was an active shooter. And then there was an active shooter on our end, like 2 or 3 after that. So in this week's time since I've been home, we've had a kidnap that resulted in a murder. We've had an airplane crash or threatened to crash into the Walmart, stolen by an employee that worked there at the airport or the FAA. We've had like 4 multiple shooting incidents where in those situations multiple people died more time than one. And so it's just been like a lot going on. So when I'm looking at what we're doing in the community, it's like, hey, we got to ramp this up a little bit. It's like, I don't know if this has anything to do with COVID. It feels like people had been locked up for a while, shaken up like an angry bag of hornets time again, or the ants' nest stirred up time again. We know that domestic violence cases went up. We know that mental health cases reported went up. We know that all these things went up because people didn't have an outlet. Now, all of that is being spewed back out into society. We're trying to open back up. You know, people were losing jobs, homes, whatever, losing lives and loved ones. And now we're dealing with we're still in the COVID, but it's like now we're dealing with the height is behind us, hopefully, knock on wood, but now we're here where even in smaller areas that were once considered safe and so many things, it's like now we're having to go about really targeting, bringing things back to a sense of normalcy as we know it. So with that said, guys, that's why I'm having these conversations. Wanted to drop a double episode because it's been such a hectic, busy week. It's like my prayers have been intensified even because, man, you know, I'm in a lot of, like right now as I'm recording this, I am in the city of Birmingham. They're reporting an all-time high in murders this year. So it's like you're not safe outside of God's hands, outside of God's provision and protection. You always need to be in that situation where you got your eyes, your ears open, you're prayerful, but you keep your situational awareness up because you just never know. But do know in every situation that sometimes there are silver linings, and thankfully we had silver linings, but I'm still waiting with all of the bad news going on this end for God to bring some silver lining from this. So guys, when you support this podcast, do know we provide many different outlets for kids. We do football camps, dance camps. We have, you know, empowerment nights. We have movie nights. There are various things we do for kids, and all of it has been made possible by your help, by your support. So do know when you're listening to this podcast, as you become a listener, as you become a supporter, as you chip in and you give $1, $5, $10, $100, whatever you give, it goes towards the mission. What it takes in every community are engaged leaders that see issues and that are willing to at least try to do something about it. But anyway, guys, this is the end of this double episode. Y'all be blessed. This is another episode of the End Zone Club. Stay tuned for more.